Yeah, we're looking forward to the experience again. I think we've played obviously 2 games now. The first one, you come off and you feel absolutely amazing, and it's a great feeling. And then you come off after the second game, and it feels like an assault on your spirit. And but that is life at this level. So yeah, what we're really looking forward to the challenge, playing against a really good team.
Can you bring us up to speed on your team news, specifically Cameron Carter-Vickers? Is he fit? Has he travelled?
No, he hasn't travelled, no.
Anyone else? Everyone else fit and available?
Greg Taylor hasn't travelled as well, so Greg should join the training group on Friday. Cam will just, we'll see when we get back.
Just lastly from me, what lessons did you learn from the Dortmund experience? It was obviously a very painful one for you and your players, but what can you do differently against a team that's maybe every bit as dangerous tomorrow?
Yeah, no, it's a very good side, very aggressive team, very attacking, and yeah, for us I think it's that compactness in the team which is very important. We weren't tight enough in certain moments in that game, and of course then they add it to that the quality that they finish with. So, but I think for us we deserve to be here in this competition, and that's always important to install that belief in the players. You know you're going to have to defend well and be strong in your duels against a team that like I say, that is, I say in terms of a defensive organisation and how they work, pretty unique in terms of that way, and are at the very, very highest level of that. So you got to be able to deal with that, play through that pressure, but also be really strong and defensively, and it's the aim we go into with every game. But going into the games at this level is even more important.
How do you strike that balance between learning the lessons from Dortmund but not compromising your style and your ethos in the way that maybe some people would say they would want to see Celtic do in a game like this?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I started coaching many years ago, over 25 years ago, and from the very beginning, my coaching has always been aggressive. And until the day I finish, it will be aggressive. And that's how I work. But I'm also respectful that you play against teams at a certain level and certain opponents where you have to really look at their strengths but I don't say I don't do that in every game, because I do, no matter what team we're playing, whether it's in Scotland or in the Champions League. It's the level at which you can get punished. So I think it's one where you have to have the balance in your game. You have to be really strong defensively. There's going to be moments when you can press the game high. There's going to be moments when you're lower on the pitch, and I think the key learning for us has to be that when you are in those moments, you cannot go on your own. The occasion and the emotion, because we get a very, very inexperienced squad of players playing at this level. So sometimes you can make little decisions to jump out of your slot when you're defending when really you should stay, because at this level you'll get picked off. So that's the key for us. But we always have to carry that threat. We have to attack with that intention to play through that pressure and know that when you can do that against Atalanta, then there's space for you. So, but it's always about striking the balance.
For the people that would say that they feel you need to be more pragmatic, or whatever the word would that not be being true to how you view football and how you want your teams to play football?
No, listen, I think if you look at this club here in Atalanta, it's a great example. Obviously totally different resources and a way above us in terms of that. But I think if you look at the actual principle of it, they had came through and arrived into this level, and I'm sure the manager will tell you that some really harsh learning experiences in terms of the games that they played against, especially against the top Premier League teams, where it was a real challenge, and the scoreline, was difficult for them. But then they come away and they learn from that, I'm pretty sure, and stick with the philosophy, but still look at certain areas where they can be better and improve. And of course, then you become better with that. So if it's a pragmatic coach, it's a different coach. I'm a different person, and that's not to say that we don't go into the game and go out and just be all out attack, all out front foot. That's not how it is. But if a coach's DNA is to sit back and be that, then that's not me, and it won't be. It won't be that. It's as simple as that. My idea is to have an attacking philosophy, and which is about defending well, and defending when you haven't got the ball, and being really aggressive and be really strong and closing spaces, and then when you have the ball, look to create opportunities. But that's not to say I don't respect the different levels in the game, because I absolutely do. But I'll always be mindful of having a balance in both attack and defence.
You said your team deserves to be at this level. Was that a message you had to reinforce the players or convince them of after Germany, when maybe their confidence did a bit of a whack and there was a lot of noise around that outcome as well?
Yeah, I think it's when you always have to convince the players of that. As I said, we're competing at the very highest level. So yeah, that's something that when you come off, as I said, your spirit can be affected after games like that. But like I say, we have to get back on again, which we did do then at that weekend. Won the game, and like I said, you prepare for the next one. This is what can happen to you at this level, playing against the very top teams, the very best teams. It's not nice. It doesn't feel good, and as I said, but you have to deal with it, and that's what the players have done.
Stephen.
Brendan, they've got so much talent for the ranks, but Ademola Lookman is a player you know pretty well from the past. Can you just talk us through your relationship with him in the past?
Yeah, always absolutely brilliant young player. He, Ademola was one that we tracked back in my first time at Celtic. I think everyone knows the story. I met him in a hotel in London, and we're looking to convince him to come. Sadly, we just couldn't get to the levels that Charlton wanted for him, but the club done everything they possibly could at that time. And then from that moment, we stayed in contact, really. And then when I was at Leicester, we wanted to bring in another winger, and inquired about his availability when he was at Red Bull. And he came in, and he was absolutely brilliant for me in that season. He was there, scored some outstanding goals. I remember the goal he scored against Liverpool, where we won 1-0, and scored a great individual goal. But he's an absolute top professional. So proud of him and his career that he's had, because he's a young guy out to London, and wasn't scared to travel. You know, you think going to Germany at the time, and obviously he'd come up to the northwest of England, to Everton, but just follow him through his career. And then when he came to Leicester, you could see everything that he was, leads his life in the right way. Everything is geared towards being the best he could. You know, watching him in that Europa League final, the goals he scored, not by accident. He practiced that every day of his life where he could. He would be out with a bag of balls, doing shooting exercises long after other ones had gone in, working on his right foot, left foot. He's so balanced, can shoot off his right foot the same as his left foot. He's absolutely incredible young professional. And to see him score the hat trick in the final last year was absolutely amazing. And so yeah, we stay in contact since that, back in 2000, whatever it was, 16, 17, I think it was. And yeah, he's such a good guy, a brilliant player. We wanted to sign him at Leicester at the time, with the chance to take him, but sadly we couldn't sign any players that summer. And then Lee Congredon, who I'd worked with before, once I told him we weren't going to be able to sign him, Lee then took him here to Atalanta, and he's now a club legend.
You said it was quite close with Celtic, Brendan. How close did you get?
Well, close in the fact that he was really excited by the project of Celtic. He was at Charlton at the time. He was wanting to join a big club and feel those pressures and everything of why a player would want to come to Celtic. Charlton clearly were wanting to get as much as they possibly could for him. So when we spoke to him, then from the personal perspective, it was a move that suited him and suited his representatives, and he was very clear on that. But obviously, it was a financial sum in the end. I think he went for maybe about 11 million or something. Maybe went to Everton, and we were just drifted away from us. So financially, it was a challenge on the fee, but wages and everything else the club could do, and the player was keen in that moment, and so that's as close as it got.
Tony.
Brendan, back to your own team. You work with these players every day, and match day 2, obviously, they didn't rise to the challenge. But is this a chance for them to show, as you say, that they belong at this level and they are better than that?
Yeah, I think so. It's one where every game is that experience. You know, as a football player, you don't want to be sat in the changing room feeling that again. You know, and that's something that, you know, the players know themselves. But I always say that this is a level of belief. I've said it before. These are belief games. You have to go into these and really believe that you can get the result. It might not always go your way, but you certainly have to go in with that belief. And I just think in the Dortmund game, there was things that went against us very early on in the game, and then the quality and the confidence takes over, and then you end up on the back of a really heavy scoreline. So, and like I say, that's on me. But we hope to learn from that, and that's the key. And like I say, this is the long game here in Europe in terms of what we're trying to achieve, not just this season, but going forward. I hope in my time here, it's why one of the big reasons to come back was to show that we can make that progress. And that isn't something that happens in one game and 2 games, but certainly the players will go into it tomorrow. We all do not want to have that feeling that we experienced after that, because it's really an emotionally gutting feeling after a result like that. But this is a team that's spirit and togetherness is so strong, and for us, it's about that tactical discipline, having that togetherness, and then having that belief in your quality. And you have that, you'll always be in with an opportunity to get a result.
Brendan, there's goals right through this Atalanta team. They're top scorers Serie A, and threats all over the park, as you know. But they've also been conceding a fair few domestically, at least. Does that give you the confidence that there will be opportunities for the guys tomorrow night?
Well, you always believe that. I think every team will have a weakness. I think that you look at when we look at the Como game, or if you look at the Arsenal game and other games, like you say, it's there's opportunities there. But you have to be at the very top end of your game. Like you say, this is a team full of confidence, full of quality, full of physicality. They're renowned for the man-marking style in terms of they defend, Atalanta, but that's a really attacking philosophy. It's one that creates opportunities, and that's how they work and play, and they've shown that over the last numbers of years. So yeah, we have to be mindful of the attacking threats, absolutely, and the power and the speed that they have. But we also have to know that we play through that pressure, and we've played against man-marking teams before, of course, but this is the very highest level of that. But when you play through that structure, then there's space for you, and we have to, in those moments, utilise that space. But there's a real great challenge in front of us, but also a great opportunity to show that we can kick on from the last game.
Michael?
Hi, Brendan. Excuse me. In the wake of the last one, you get a fair battering from certain quarters, even like kind of down south in England as well, and the media down there. Is the barometer for you guys set quite unjustly high? We talk about budgets and all that stuff, and if you took a team from the English Premier League at the bottom in budget terms or top of the Championship, you'd expect them to get battered in the Champions League, wouldn't you? But you guys are held to a higher expectation. Is that unfair, do you feel?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. I think that if you've got any sort of common sense and logic, you would see that. But at Celtic, that doesn't count. You don't get the leeway. That's the reality of it. It's an opportunity for people to to beat you over the head with a stick, and that's clear. So I'm not going to get too emotional about it. I don't listen too much. It's a perfect storm for some people. You know that when Celtic lose, or especially come into Europe, that they will write a great piece on how and actually been saving it for probably numbers of months. So that's the opportunity to do it. So I can't change that. I'm not even going to be bothered to try, to be honest. There's no leeway given. So we just have to concentrate on our own club, keep trying to improve, and see where it takes us.
Here. Good evening, Giorgio Dusi from La Gazzetta dello Sport. You already played against Atalanta 5 years ago with Leicester. It was a pre-season friendly, so it was also a different context. But what do you remember of Atalanta? How do you think the team, the playing style has changed over the years? Of course, many players changed, but lots of players are still there, like Jim City, Deron, and many others. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think it was 2019. I think the style is pretty much the same. Lots of players change, but the likes of Darun and other players still here. Yeah, I think at that time, it was probably one of the first times that we've seen the overlap in fullback or overlap in centre half. We didn't see a lot of that in European football, but at that time, and it was our last pre-season game, so it was a really good game. It was an intense game, but you could see the difficulties back then of what of the problems that Atalanta could give you if you weren't organised in your work. So I think the style will have improved, of course, but it's very much a lot of the same principles. Very aggressive, very man-to-man, very attacking, and yeah. So it was, but it was a great challenge for us on that evening. 2-1. I will say we beat Borussia Dortmund 4-0 as well before we played them, but that doesn't count either.
Can we take one last question, please? Okay, over here, thank you.
Buonasera, Rodgers.
Buonasera.
Ghidotti, Pianeta Atalanta. Negli scorsi giorni ha detto che l'Atalanta è la migliore al mondo nella marcatura d'uomo. Volevo chiederle come è stato preparare la partita, considerando appunto questa peculiarità dell'Atalanta.
Yeah, I think the man marking, it's more than the man marking. It's that really aggressive style, how they man mark, how they cover the game is also the best for me in world football. We experienced that, but at a slightly lesser level, but it's still the same principle. You have to, when you play against teams that are very aggressive and pressing forward, you have to be very vertical in your football. So you have to be look to play forward. You have to be able to be good in the duels. So you have to be able to take the ball under pressure. You have to be able to connect the game quickly, 1 and 2 touch. You also have to be able to stay on the ball and eliminate the pressure on dribbles. So it'll be very much a different game from what you would normally watch most weeks when if you don't watch Atalanta a lot, because it's very much lots of teams will play with the zonal pressure. Atalanta really test you to the limit on that individual duel. But again, it's that having that belief and having those patterns that can take you through that pressure. And of course, when you see lots of teams play against Atalanta, they will obviously go a lot more direct because there's space to play into that. So yeah, an exciting challenge, coaching challenge, and as I said, one that I had before when I played against them. But of course, they're a better team now, and we will see how we go tomorrow night.